Welcome to the Photo and Video Support Group online training series. My name is Kathy Walp and I am the staff liaison for the group. This short training video is intended as a primer for volunteers who sign up for the image reviewer position. It is recommended that you watch this video at least once so that you know what will be expected of you. Why do we review images? During the stock show, the Photo and Video Support Group is tasked by the staff of the National Western with capturing all aspects of the show in photographs. We cover everything from special events to livestock and horse competitions, to art events, to educational venues, to parking lot setups, to rodeos, to volunteer activity. We cover it all. Photographing all these activities amounts to thousands of images that need to be reviewed and organized before they are available to the staff. An overview of the entire process involves just a few steps. First, the image is captured by the photographer during the event. When the photographer has completed the assignment, she turns in the image to be transferred to the desktop. The desktop is organized into folders that help us maintain control over the thousands of images captured. At this point, the image reviewer will be assigned to review certain images, keeping ones that pass the 3 basic criteria and deleting the ones that do not. The next step is an additional review to ensure that only the best images are kept. Those images will be renamed according to the file naming system and the folders organized for uploading. Ultimately, all the completed folders will be uploaded to the National Western Network. Image reviewers will be stationed at a desktop computer and will use Picasa image management software to process the photographs. Picasa is a free software program by Google and is relatively easy to learn and to use. In most instances, the image reviewer is the first set of eyes that will pass over the photographs captured by the photographers. As this first set of eyes, your task is to make sure the photographs pass basic criteria. When you arrive for your first shift, you will be instructed on the use of the computer and the organizational system for image folders. For the rest of this video, I will focus solely on the 3 basic criteria that we expect you to use to review images. The first criterion is focus. It is critical that the image be in focus. For subjects such as vendor booths and crowd shots taken during events, we want the image to exhibit clear focus across the image, from close-up to infinity. Vendor booth photos especially need to be clear throughout. For images with people or animals, look at their eyes as that becomes the focal point, and the eyes must be in focus for the image to be considered good. On this slide, you see 2 images of a vendor booth. The one on the left has an overall fuzziness to it, and it is difficult to see what the vendor is selling, whereas the image on the right was retaken, and the detail of the vendor's product can clearly be seen. In images with people or animals, you need to look at their eyes to see if they are in focus. Images with multiple individuals, at least one of the individual's eyes must be in focus. Things to look for are clear details of the eye, such as the line of the lid and individual lashes. When the eye is in focus, there is usually a brightly defined highlight. There are exceptions to the rule, and that is when a blurred effect is used to show motion. In the image on the left, the flags being carried by the Western Airs are blurry, successfully portraying motion. The image on the right, however, does not pull this off. Although it is interesting in an artistic way, for our purposes it cannot be used. The next item you will look for in an image is whether or not it is well lit or exposed properly. An image that is too dark will lack detail. One that has too much light or is overexposed also lacks sufficient detail. Another odd effect of light which we experience is reflections from the sun coming through windows. All of these points come into play with the vendor booth photos. In this image on the left, the photograph is underexposed or too dark. Details of the vehicles are so deep in shadow they are lost. In the photo on the right, the photographer exposed this shot properly, and the details of the vehicles can be clearly seen. Again, there are exceptions to the rule. Sometimes the photographer wishes to create silhouettes by backlighting the subject. When this effect is used, the photo is considered high contrast with a loss of detail in the shadows. This is done intentionally and can be a successful photograph. Here is another example of a special lighting effect that is successful. Although some of the detail is lost in the shadows, The red light creates an interesting mood that is striking. These examples show how sun shining in a window can affect images. The image on the right was taken with the sunny window right behind the booth. Because the sunlight is so bright, it actually overexposes that half of the image, making it a poor photograph. The photograph on the right had the sunny window behind the photographer, but the image was still affected. Shadows such as this also make for a poor photograph. The last of the three criteria is context. When you arrive for your shift, you will have a work assignment with details of the events that you are reviewing. These details, the subject matter, how the staff will use the image, and if there are any alternative uses for the image, all play in whether the image is kept. I will only present a couple examples here on how context is judged, as it varies greatly depending on the event photographed. When you arrive for your shift, you will be coached on how to determine context. This first example was taken during one of the Coors Art Room events. It effectively illustrates some of the artwork on display in the Coors Art Room. The details of the individual art pieces are not as important as the context of the photograph. It is clear that the photograph shows artwork hanging in a gallery, which is the intent. Detail or close-up photos are very important in illustrating another aspect of an event. This image was taken in 2014 during a special memorial horse event, showing the handwritten messages, which is just as important as the photograph showing the overall jump setup and the horses performing in the event. This image could be used in various marketing and PR materials. Another area where context is important is when photographing volunteers. The volunteer program at the National Western has ample opportunities for our photographers. We try to capture them while they are doing their job or not doing their job. These images are used both in recruiting new volunteers and celebrating another year successfully completed. This ends the online training video for the image reviewer. I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. See you at the show.